So thank you very much for the introduction, Xiaoshuang, and thank you for the opportunity to speak here. So it's the first time I've been to Shanghai Platinum Week. It's not the first time I've been to Shanghai, but it's good to see a huge number of people here and a huge range of things being discussed, and hopefully we will build on that here. So Xiaoshuang just introduced everyone. I won't introduce everyone again. So I think we'll get straight into some of the questions. And I'm going to start with Bernie talking about investment. And we were just discussing, apparently Metalor is the largest gold refiner in the world, which is, I didn't quite know that. I knew it was a big gold refiner. But it's better known for gold than for platinum or PGMs. So why is the Chinese entity so involved in platinum? What do you see there as opportunities and interests, really?
Okay. So I think I will speak in Chinese because most people is Chinese. Okay. 首先呢，就是大家都知道。
You all know that Metalor and is a very big refining company and from the whole world. And David's question is very good. And actually, and Metalor in the whole world, and we are operating refining. And however, while in China, we focus a lot in platinum. I wanted to correct that actually for Metalor and in the overseas platinum business, and it's already very wide. If you have the mobile phone, and you will probably and have the touch points, and the touch points and will use chemicals and from platinum and Metalor and has a lot of shares in this field. And in Switzerland, Metalor also has some refining business of platinum. And for China market, actually you can see in the platinum investment. Actually, and we do something differently compared with the overseas market. So because compared with the other peers in the industry, we are very different because we focus on the investment of platinum in China market. Why? Firstly, and since and WPIC and joining the China market, and they asked or they proposed an idea, so which was very consistent with ours. Secondly, you can see the Chinese consumers. Actually, for the gold investment, and is a lot. However, for platinum investment for Chinese consumers in the beginning, we didn't have a lot of the investment in platinum. However, and our investment in platinum basically strengthen the demand for the platinum investment. Of course, after years of efforts, and if we look back to the past, we think we make the right decision because we see the development in China, and we see and we get more and more investors in the platinum field, and you can the prices of platinum basically and went up and higher than all the other precious metals. So platinum this year is more like a very beautiful shining star in precious metal. So I believe I made the right choice. I'm not quite sure whether I responded to your question correctly enough.
So, but then if we talk about the investment market in particular, how has that changed over time? So when I first came to China looking at platinum, that was 20 years ago, and it was just a physical market, and you could buy a bar, and that was about it. So how has that market changed?
I'm open stage, but you say for the investment market?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I need to use the.
That's okay. So in the investment market, how has that changed? Because when I first came to China, it was a very physical market.
Yeah.
And you could buy very few products. Yeah. So how has that changed over time?
Okay. In fact,
Actually, in year 2018, so we were the first one and started to manufacture, started to do the platinum bars. So back then, I would say, so people didn't know there is a product like platinum bars. So people didn't know platinum is investable. So that's why since year 2018 and to 2019, after 2 years efforts, so actually we did a lot of products together with the WPIC, and we did a lot of the marketing and in the market. So I basically saw a very good response from the market. And in year 2020, you knew that due to the COVID, and in the past years, so basically the promotion was back to zero. However, post-pandemic, I clearly see that, especially and since the year 2022, 2023, and after the pandemic, the development is very fast. In the past 3 years, our investment in the products, the growth was huge. So I would say for every year, our investment in platinum and is doubled. And in here, because you can see China market is very big. And China and has very good ecosystem, and you can see, and we are sitting here together with everybody. Although we are from different positions and we are from different companies, however, we have the same goal, so which is to promote and these products in the industry. So it's very likely organic ecosystem is not only about investment. So even for investment, there are a lot of the channels, a lot of the methods to assure the growth. So I think that's my thinking.
What's the next phase of market development, or is it product development, to drive demand further from there?
Okay, so
Well, I would like to say that firstly, in terms of products, undoubtedly, yes, we pay attention to investment because currently speaking, our business in platinum, we have invested a whole range of platinum products. We have a lot of channels. As for what we are supposed to going forward, firstly, I think that not only do we continue to invest in platinum, some good news I would like to share with you. We plan to build a new factory in Suzhou, which is expected to be completed next year around this time. By that time, we will have a more diversity of products. Not only will we have platinum products, but also in terms of our gold and silver products, which are the mainstay of products, we would expect to see a scaled up of our gold and silver products as well. And we will have more diversified platinum products, and we'd expect to have more use cases as well. And we will have some changes in the way we invest. For example, about 2 to 3 months ago, we started to do live streaming online selling platinum on TikTok. And we already achieved wonderful results because we managed to make ourselves #1 in the platform on the platform that shows a good attempt with good results. And we plan to have more attempts like this. And we will collaborate with other partners from various parts of the ecosystem to do market education. Thank you.
The follow-on question from that is, what does China still have to learn from the rest of the world in this space? And what does the rest of the world have to learn from China?
okay, good question.
Well, how should I say that? I can only speak from my own personal experience because a lot of the technologies, we source these technologies originally from Switzerland. However, in China, we have the supplier system, and we managed to do a lot of localization of these technologies, leveraging China's supply chain system. And we have done some changes. Such changes allow us to have more diversified product offerings while improving the efficiency. That's for one thing. I think that probably in the future, our innovative approach might affect or influence our peers overseas. And that in terms of products, Metalor's products for investment type products, we offer more in China compared with our counterparts overseas. Not only do we offer gold, platinum investment products, our product variety, product processes, we compared with our peers overseas have shown more innovation. Of course, our peer companies from other countries in Asia, when they decide to visit us and they see our techniques and processes were very good, they decide to adopt our innovative processes. In addition to that, China has more variety of sales channels with the Chinese online platforms. So I think that probably in the future we'll see some followers in that regard as well. So on the whole, we work together with our peers overseas and we seek progress together. Thank you.
Thank you. It's not a Metalor thing, but my favorite thing so far I've seen at this conference is that if I buy 2 investment products, I can get a small free red panda. And I've never seen that outside China. So that's the most exciting thing I've seen. No need to answer, don't worry.
Okay, thank you. I can't hear you very well. I'm so sorry.
That's cool. And I think from there it makes sense to move on to jewellery. So, Mr. Ning, you represent Caibai, which is a well-known jewellery company in China. So you've been involved in retails of precious metals jewellery for a long time. If you go back over the last 10, 15 years, we've seen a boom in platinum. We've seen maybe a bust, but certainly a much more difficult time. And we're beginning to see some more growth now. Can you share some insights on what you've learned from that, and then maybe what that tells us about how to make that more sustainable?
Well, firstly, I would like to say thanks to the organizer for inviting me. Yesterday when I attended the opening event and I saw so many people, it makes me excited because it feels like a king. Once king now has made its comeback. That's the story about platinum. You asked me to share my experience with platinum more than 10, 15 years ago. So I would like to take you back on the journey back more than a decade ago. I'm from Caibai company, now known as #1 gold company in China. We started selling gold jewelry as early as 1985, and we were also among the first batch of companies that sold platinum jewelry more than a decade ago. Every year, our platinum sales was measured by the unit of ton. So we measure how many tons we sold every year more than a decade ago. In 2012, when Shanghai Gold Exchange was established, we got the first order for platinum during the pilot or during the rehearsal or trial run phase. And also we got the first official order after it was officially open for operation, our company. So gold market, platinum market, we feel that both are very much near and dear to us. So you asked me how things have changed a decade ago compared with now. In particular, what are some of the challenges that we have seen over the past a decade and plus? I would list a couple of things. Firstly, price. As you all know that in 2008, if we measure the price in the RMB in 2008, when platinum hit the highest price around 530, that was the price back then. But in less than 3 months, the price went down to around 180, and the lowest point was around 140 plus, less than 150. So that shows that platinum's price over the past more than a decade has been going all the way downhill only until recently that we started to see some sort of pickup of platinum price, which also has led to consumer behavior change that we have seen recently. So that's one factor, price. Secondly, production. As you know that when the market is in a bust, then production, there will be fewer investment, less investment in production, which leads to a spiral, downward spiral. As a result, production-wise, innovation in product, innovation in processes fall short. That's for second factor. And thirdly, consumer confidence was hit a lot. In particular, in the process of platinum price going downhill, without the emergence of new processes or new product designs, that hit consumer confidence was hit a lot. And fourthly, marketing. So yesterday I saw SPW 5-year recap. It was established 5 years ago, and this year is marking its 5th anniversary. While I was watching the video, I was thinking to myself that Mr. Deng Weibing-led his team has been doing this over the past 5 years. So has been the team from PGI, which gives me the conclusion that for all the market ups and downs, this is something that we have to keep doing. In particular, when the market is not good, then consumer confidence can be built so as to sustain development of the platinum market. Thank you.
If we look at the jewelry sector this year, the platinum jewelry sector, King Lee talked about it earlier, about strong growth. And we've seen that. And is that driven then by high gold prices pushing people towards platinum? Or is it driven by rising platinum prices? And then what other factors are there that are driving this? You touched on innovation in product or in marketing as well.
I think a couple of reasons. You mentioned that the price of platinum itself has gone up, which is undoubtedly one of the driving factors. And in particular, as you can see yourself, that platinum price has been going up from around 200 to the current more than 300. The curve is rather attractive. So that's one factor. And second place, platinum bought as a substitute to gold, also another factor. Gold has gone up too much from 800 to around 1,000. Leading a lot of people think that instead of buying only 1 gram of gold, I would rather buy a couple of grams, several grams of platinum. So the substitution effect is also very obvious. And third reason, if you remember yesterday, one panelist used the word Jiang, which means fiercely competitive. So when the market has hit a bottom and is ready to bottom up, then producers started to engage in fierce competition in the front of product, in the area of product, in the area of design. They compete against each other. But such fierce competition also has its shortcomings, just like Mr. Zhou said that distributors, retailers, they have increased their investment, but as a result of such increased investment, the market has recovered as well. And fourthly, people's consumption behavior, consumption pattern has changed as well, because for the Chinese consumers, you can observe several patterns of consumption. Firstly, they like things with cultural content, and secondly, consumption for pleasing themselves. Nowadays, emotional value is something that is very popular in China among the Chinese consumers. Pop Mart's dolls give people a lot of the so-called emotional value, making themselves happy. So when people choose to buy a piece of jewelry, they think about what I'm really buying and what I can buy. So emotional value from platinum jewelry. Thank you.
People buy gold, historically at least in China, they were buying jewelry and they were buying, like you say, they were buying cultural significance, but they were also investing. Do we see the same in platinum, or is that more of a cultural thing or a self-purchase?
For this question, well, that's how I see it. I see it personally that I would say people buy it more for pleasing themselves than because of cultural resonance. Because platinum is not domestically produced in China. Not much platinum is domestically produced in China. It's more of imported thing. So understanding of platinum culture, the digging of the cultural value of platinum is not that much, but we have managed to see some happy changes over the past couple of years. Like Mr. Bernie Chen from Metalor mentioned, gold consumption. Firstly, people buy gold as a commodity. if something is a commodity, they buy it because they see it as beautiful. They like the beautiful looking. So that's for one thing as a commodity. And second, as investing as well, they want to buy gold to hedge against risks as a hedging investment instrument, and thirdly, buy gold because of cultural resonance. But I am very happy to see that at least in the first two areas, platinum has made solid progress. Next up, going forward, cultural resonance is something that I think requires collective effort from all of us here. Because be it seeing platinum as a commodity or seeing it as investment instrument, platinum has been gaining ground in both areas over the past couple of months and weeks. Thank you.
So, moving from the traditional uses of PGMs to the more technical uses, if I can ask you, Mr. Li, given China's huge developments in battery electric vehicles, extended range electric vehicles, hybrids generally, what do we expect the vehicle market to look like in the coming years? And particularly for us, it's the internal combustion engine market.
So firstly, I would like to extend our thanks to the organizer for inviting me and inviting our association to attend SPW for the first time. And the day before yesterday, we organized a closed-door session where we invited stakeholders from the vehicle industry for academic exchanges. So firstly, in terms of the new energy vehicles proportion in China has been going up steadily, which undoubtedly and unavoidably will lead to the corrosion of market share of ICE cars. But I don't see ICE technology disappear down the road.
So the consumption will be more likely and being applied to the hybrid vehicles. So we can see the consumption and technology is normally for the supplement of the powertrain and for the reinforcement and for the application scenarios. And for example, for now, some infrastructure is not complete enough, and some users maybe they are still worried about the mileage, about the charging. So that is a supplement. And thirdly, and for the long distance and the heavy commercial vehicles, and in some time, combustion technology is still the mainstream solution at the technical level. So that's why the combustion technology, I would say that there are some rules and from the national government in terms of the emissions or the application of the catalyst, and there will be strict requirement and for the efficiency. So that's why we still need to improve that. So we need to improve technologies of catalyst, including the application of PGMs in the catalyst. Thank you.
When we, I think there was in Ajit Singh's presentation yesterday, we talked about PGM demand is number of vehicles times technology times loading. And when we're talking about technology, and catalyst technology particularly, it's not always about using more metal. So how has China managed to meet the emissions rules, but with the low levels of PGMs? And I found, in the last presentation, I found that quite interesting because that was talking about some of the technical things you can do with a catalyst to design it differently. But do you have any thoughts on how it's been able to do that?
I think yesterday, and I heard part of the speech, and for the day before yesterday, and in the closed-door meeting, and the technical experts and managers from different supply chains and industrial chains, they did some introduction. I just wanted to summarize a little bit. Actually, for platinum, so application in a car industry, so the global trend is more like high efficiency, and especially for China's industry, and in the past tens of the years, and the ternary catalyst development basically relied on the high efficiency usage of the platinum or PCGs. And I wanted to share 2 points. The first is that, so one is about the technology innovation drive the consumption of PCG. Number two is more like the industry synergy and policies force the enterprises and they change. And for the technology, we have three things to do, or we did three things. The first one is about the carrier, the changes. And you can see platinum and in the application. So the materials and the structures, innovation of platinum and making platinum and very scattered, and then efficiency and will be at very high. Secondly, by now, China and recycling and reuse of the catalyst system is improving, and then the second usage rate is higher. So that's why the total consumption volume will be reduced. Number three, and in terms of the bionic catalyst and the upgrading of the ingredients, and then reduce our absolute dependence on precious metals.
And then the obvious question, so we heard on Monday in the closed door session about meeting China 7, and China 7 is a tough set of emissions standards. What happens beyond that? Is there a China 8 and a China 9? Do we keep on going? Do we have tougher rules for cold start or for anything else?
I think in last time's closed door meeting, we also invited some experts and joined the drafting of the standards. Actually, although for now, and you can see we will have the 7th standard soon. And in that meeting, the people basically agreed that so the emission laws and the rules in the future will still be stricter and stricter. In general, so there are two reasons. First, you can see the global trend and the environment protection stress. So because coping with climate change, improving air quality, so you can see it's already kind of the global consensus. And even for now, and like this morning, some presenters also mentioned, and China's double or dual carbon strategy. Car is very important sources for carbon emissions, so we needed to take the actions. And for car industry, although you can see China is developing an EV, however, so there is still some hybrid and combustion vehicles in the market, right? They still have some market shares. So that's why we must use relevant laws and rules to restrict and reduce combustion engines, and to improve the catalyst and efficiency to reduce the carbon emission and improve the air quality. Thank you.
I have one follow-on question from that, very simple question. We just heard about sustainable aviation fuels. Do we hear anything about sustainable or synthetic automotive fuels in China?
I think for this, actually in the car industry, so we are also exploring some zero on carbon and like the hydrogen and the other like ammonia integration, and some like large commercial vehicles already have some zero carbon combustion being promoted in the industry, including the integration of ammonia and hydrogen and the usage of the natural gas and the other alternative zero and carbon fuel, so zero carbon fuels. So actually, and we already tried and in the market actually.
Thank you. I think the logical follow-on, Mr. Bian, is to you on the recycling side. So clearly, China is now by far the biggest automotive market globally. And it's becoming a much more significant recycling market for industrial, but also automotive recycling. So what are the obstacles in the development of that industry, of a PGM recycling sector?
Okay, so I wanted to have some brief introduction. So for the challenge, the main challenge we face normally and come from the environment. So related to the environmental issue and some of China's environmental management laws and rules and policies. Actually, in terms of recycling, yesterday we also mentioned, so we have two obstacles. Firstly, so you can see, and so this waste or spent catalyst or the waste car exhaust catalysts are likely hazardous or dangerous and waste. So different provinces have their own ways of managing that. So for this dangerous waste, if you transfer from province A to province B, and this cross-province transfer, there are still some restrictions and at the regional level. In the past, there was no this kind of barrier, but for now, for this cross-province transfer, so there are some restrictions. So that's why in the liquidity and it's not so easy. And on the other hand, and it's also related to the environment. And you can see the car exhaust catalyst. So for the collection stage, so the companies or the parties, they cannot collect under the rules. So because it is not allowed for the individuals to collect this dangerous waste. However, and it is still relied on, still starts from the small collectors, individual small collectors, so start from them, and they went to the car factory, so they collected one by one. So if we only rely on this and the small collectors, and of course, you know, the Environment Protection Bureau will not intervene that. So, but if some individuals, they collect a lot, it's go against the rules, but it is inevitable because it had to start from the individual collection. So our association, we needed to find out a solution. We needed to make sure the collectors, they are within the rule, and then if they are within the rule, and the refining parties and can have the cooperation with them within the rule. So that's why in year 2023, we basically stopped 5 to 6 months for the collection of the ternary catalyst, and now we are recovering that. So we clearly see that the recycling volume of the ternary catalyst is increasing, is going up. Another thing is related to the tax. So because you can see the amount, the invoicing amount of precious metal is very big, and normally, and you need to pay. So actually, there's 30% of the tax subsidy, so 30% and rebate. But for now, there are some other problems like the processing stage, so it's difficult to define whether this processing can be considered as recycling. So because it's very much related to whether you can get 30% of the rebate and the subsidy, and we emphasized about the building a bigger integrated national market. So some regions, maybe they have more rebates, and for some regions, maybe they don't have the rebates and subsidies, so the sales and for the metals maybe are not so big. And you can see the precious metals, and you can see the price is very high, and there are also some issues related to the stamp tax. We also talked to some parties. Still, we haven't got a solution, and like the consumption tax. So tax is also a very, very tricky issue, and the ternary catalyst recycling for cars, and for now. And we needed to have the reverse invoicing, but for the reverse invoicing and for each natural person only has a limit of 5 million renminbi. However, that's still far from enough. So all of these issues, we are talking to the Tax Bureau and the Ministry of Finance. We are talking to them. So basically, these are the two obstacles to our industry, to the recycling industry.
So is your focus then for the next few years is that standardization of some of those rules, and then I guess we expect to see the industry become maybe a smaller number of bigger players?
I think, and in terms of the recycling, so at the society level, so there will not be bigger recycle parties, bigger collectors. So because we are at the refining stage, so at the collection stage, so there are still a lot of the individual or smaller collectors, no big collectors.
And then if we look outside China, the last year or maybe 3 years even, we've seen significant overcapacity challenges and we've seen volumes come off, and we've seen profitability challenges. Have you seen that issue in China, and do you see overcapacity today, and do you see any efforts by industry or by government to address that?
I think for the recycling for overcapacity to our industry, so in China it basically lasted 2 to 3 years. So back to year 2019, so we already sent the alarm, the warning. I remember in the first SPW, I said, although our industry looked very beautiful, however, it's more like a rose. So we already convinced those companies or persuaded them you need to be cautious. However, we didn't see any result because of warnings, because back then China had a lot of investment, so they always saw that they could make a lot of profits from precious metal. So although we warned them, however, huge capitals came into the market. So for now, our capacity is basically 10 times higher than the actual storage. So the overcapacity is really huge problem. However, so we will not intervene or interrupt or stop or control the capacity, because this is the market behavior. So we wanted to say if the market could not afford, and then the market would exclude that. The market will make the decision.
Fierce competition has been heard quite a lot this week, which is exactly that. And then the question I asked before is what opportunities are there for the recycling sector in China to learn from elsewhere? And what opportunities are there for the rest of the world to learn from China in this space?
For this question, China's recycling sector has its unique characteristics. So I say, if the Chinese recyclers, what they should learn from leading recyclers globally, well, firstly, they should learn that they must comply with rules, because international rules are quite, science-based. So leading recyclers in China, they play with rules. However, as I mentioned, that we have a huge number of medium-sized and small recyclers. They have the number. There are a lot of them, and some of them they don't even have registered company. You don't know where they pop up, even if you punish them. So that's one thing. I think that Chinese recyclers should learn from the international counterparts playing by the rules. But I think international recyclers should learn from the Chinese counterparts in terms of cost control, because Chinese recyclers are really doing a good job in cost control. Say if the metal content is really low, a lot of international companies, they are not willing to deal with it because their cost will be more than the value. But for Chinese recyclers, they can manage to recycle and reuse materials containing a very low amount of metal. So this is something that I think they can learn from each other. But this is only the first stage of recycling, which is the rough processing or rough refinery. But the Chinese law forbids importing of this type of scrap material or this type of scrap alloy. So in that case, Chinese recyclers might hand it to our international counterparts to save cost. That can be one form of collaboration.
And then finally, last but not least, Dr. Sun, and you get the most difficult question because we're talking about industrial demand, and industrial demand is so varied. But one of my interests is China has been this huge driver of PGM demand in the chemical sector, the clean chemical sector, so in growing a chemical sector and then cleaning that up. How much of that is still to come? Because it's really broad. We've heard about it on sustainable fuels, for instance. But how much more is there to come of clean chemicals in China?
Well, firstly, I would like to say thanks to Valterra, to Mr. Wang Yu from Valterra Platinum for inviting us once again to attend the SPW event and also for giving us this honor to attend this round of panel discussion. When I was a postgraduate student, I started my research on catalyst using PGMs. So I think that in the future, in the chemical field, PGMs will continue to play a big role. There is still huge potential waiting to be unlocked. Take our team's current research project as an example. Our team has been dedicated to the research of the production of PVCs monomer, and currently we use mercury as the catalyst, and because mercury is highly polluting as a catalyst, so by 2030, according to International Water Body Convention, mercury used as a catalyst must be the use of mercury as a catalyst must be terminated, which means that the PVC industry is facing transformation. They must use catalyst that is mercury-free. And currently, gold and platinum-based catalysts are used for PVC catalysis. Compared with gold, platinum-based catalyst is more sophisticated in terms of the technology itself and the commercialization. So currently our team already having in our hands some technologies and patents, and we expect to test our technologies in the second half of this year, and we'd expect that in 3 to 5 years our technology can be put into actual production. In terms of PVC monomer in China, we every year have about 26 million PVC, our capacity 26 million, and catalyst containing mercury 226,000 tons of mercury-containing catalyst. If platinum-based catalyst is to be used to replace mercury-containing catalyst, say 0.2%, according to our calculation, represent an increased demand for platinum on a yearly basis of 52 tons. So I think that if platinum-based catalyst is to become commercialized and produced and utilized in mass scale, that represents a huge demand increase. In addition to that, platinum has shown excellent properties in a lot of chemical reactions. For example, CO, removal of CO in the sintering soot, in the sintering dust, because carbon-containing pollutant emissions standard will become more stringent against the carbon peak and carbon neutrality background. So a lot of provinces and regions have released relevant policies and rules. So for CO removal, platinum or PGM-containing catalyst has proven their strong property performance, and China accounts for 50% of steel and iron production globally. So every year, this industry requires 100 kilogram level platinum or 100 kilogram level catalyst, and VOC removal in air purification also needs PGM-based catalyst because of its proven record of performance. So in my opinion, in the future, be it in the industrial sector or for the purpose of environmental protection, PGM still has a strong market in the future in China.
I'm very envious of your research project, because that 3 to 5 years to use is amazing, because I finished my research project in 1994 in ruthenium, and that still hasn't been commercialized. So, and I was also interested, you talk about PGMs replacing mercury in this process, but we saw previously ruthenium iridium replace mercury in the chloralkali process as well. But do you see specific uses for the minor metals, so ruthenium, iridium, in different areas because they have slightly different properties to platinum and palladium.
For PVC industry, ruthenium-based catalyst, because it's highly acid, so in terms of its performance, might not be as performant as platinum-based catalyst. However, in China, another popular topic of research is chlorine, ammonia, and chlorine hydrogen or green hydrogen, green ammonia. So in the current chemical synthesis field, iron-based catalyst is used for ammonia synthesis, but that requires very strong chemical reaction condition. However, when the temperature is low, pressure is low, ruthenium has proven its strong performance instead of which means that in small-scale ammonia synthesis and small-scale ammonia decomposition, ruthenium-based catalyst can find its applications, for example, used in marine islands or used in marine ships. So small-scale ammonia synthesis synthesized on demand, more such flexible application scenarios will be huge market for ruthenium-based catalyst.
Thank you very much. So I think that's all the questions I wanted to ask. So I think if you could just join me in thanking the panel for their time and their informed views. So thank you very much. 谢谢。